Alright, hi guys, Filip here, co-founder of Freak Athletic and FABodies.com. In today's short video, I will be talking to you about the ketogenic diet and why it is not the best approach when it comes to your fitness goals. Now, a couple misconceptions on what the ketogenic diet is. The ketogenic diet does not mean just low carb. No. The ketogenic diet actually is a high-fat diet first and foremost. How the macronutrient breakup goes: high fat, moderate protein, low carb. If the protein was high and higher than what you get the calories from fat, you'll actually get into a state of gluconeogenesis, which basically means that you'll be utilizing the protein you eat into glucose. Your body will be going through this gluconeogenic process and turning the protein you eat into glucose to fuel your body. That is not keto. Keto is high fat, moderate protein, low carb. Now, a couple of things. We'll talk about how keto works when you want to lose weight and how it works when you want to gain weight and why it is not ideal for either situation. Now, when you're trying to cut weight and cut body fat, the ketogenic diet, in theory, yes, you will be burning more fat. But what's the first part of that is that people keep forgetting is the fact that you'll be storing more fat as well. Since most of your calories are coming from fat sources, that fat will need to be, you'll be storing more fat and burning more fat. So what matters is the net energy balance at the end of the day, whether you're in a deficit or surplus. So yes, on paper it looks good, you're burning more fat, but it really doesn't make that much of a difference if you're in a surplus and you're eating more than what you're burning. You're still going to get fat. It doesn't matter about insulin hypothesis and all that shit. Insulin's not making you fat. Excess calories are. Now, the initial weight loss that you get from the ketogenic diet, as a lot of people notice that are on it, they get a quick, rapid loss of weight within the first week or two. That is generally all water weight. The reason being is because you've dropped carbohydrates down to practically nothing, you will be losing all your muscle glycogen before you hit ketosis. So all your muscle and liver glycogen will be depleted. And along with carbohydrates, when you consume carbohydrates, you store water. Approximately 4 grams of water is stored with every gram of carbs. So think about all that water that you'll be losing when you're depleting all that carbohydrates from your body. That's what causes that crazy weight loss in the first period. After that week or two, where it's plateaued, if you're not watching what you eat, if you're not watching your calories, a lot of people find themselves gaining weight because they're actually in a surplus. They've had that initial weight loss because they've dropped carbs and because they've lost all that water weight, but now they're starting to get pure fat because they're eating all this fat, they're eating excess calories, so they're just storing it. Now, another point I'd like to bring up is a lot of people think it is, they I guess, justify the diet and why it works for them as it is more satiating to them. I'd like to argue that it's actually less satiating because you're getting less volume of food that you're able to consume. Now remember, fat is 9 calories per gram as opposed to carbohydrates or protein, which is 4 calories per gram. So you're able to eat half the amount of volume, less than half the amount of volume for the same calories. So it does make sense that you think you're more satiated. Okay, if you're eating stupid foods, stupid carbohydrate sources that are high in sugar, yes, you might be craving more sugar straight away and craving to eat more. But if you're eating complex carbohydrates, highly nutritious sources, and fiber is the biggest factor here. You want to be eating fibrous complex carbohydrates. That is going to cause far greater satiety than eating just a shitload of fat. So keep that in mind. Another issue is it's easier to overeat your calories when you're following a ketogenic diet and not tracking. So a lot of people and a lot of these proponents of keto will be saying that, oh, as long as you don't eat carbs, you don't have to track. It's all about insulin. Controlling insulin is what determines weight gain and weight loss. That's rubbish. But they believe this, and they, deceive people into believing that also. So the issue is when you're not tracking your food and when you're eating predominantly fat, people will be snacking on things like nuts, which are extremely calorie dense. They'll be snacking on it. Eat a bag of almonds. Yeah, it's healthy food, but you've just eaten 1,000 calories. You know what I mean? So you got to keep that in mind. It's so much easier to eat far more calories directly from fat than what it would be. Let's look at this example. 500 calories worth of nuts or 500 calories worth of potatoes. What's going to take up more room in your stomach? What's going to fill you up more, and what's going to be easier or harder to eat? The nuts is going to take far less room in your stomach. It's going to be so much easier to put down and not realize you've eaten 500 calories of nuts. Whereas the potatoes, you're going to have to eat a fair bit of potatoes to hit that 500 calorie mark, and I'm pretty sure you'll be quite full by the end, because potato on the satiety scale is quite up there as one of the most satiating foods there is. So that's my argument for why it's not effective for weight loss, for fat loss per se. Now now I want to talk to you about why it's a terrible idea for using the ketogenic diet to gain weight or to gain muscle when you're trying to bulk in the gym. And I believe the keto diet is much worse for this than it is for even losing weight, because I guess the biggest factor is, in my opinion, when you're eating a surplus of calories coming directly from fat, there is no storage mechanism for this fat besides going straight into the fat cell. It's not like you can store fat within the muscle for later use like you can carbs. So you're going to be in surplus of calories through fat. All that surplus of calories are going to be stored as fat. You might use some extra energy, I guess to bring up NEAT and to use some extra energy to build a bit of muscle, but it does not work the same way as carbohydrates does. You'd be far better off using, a moderate to high carb approach with high protein and lower fats. There's no benefit to performance. When you're bulking, when you're trying to follow the keto approach, there's no benefit to performance. Let's say there's some high-level athletes that might follow a ketogenic diet, but it's not the norm. The default is and always has been the high carb approach. All of your best athletes in the world know they need a tremendous amount of carbohydrates to fuel their bodies, to fuel their workouts, and to perform at their best. You're going to be an idiot to try and say that, no, I don't need carbs, I'm just going keto and I'm going to be the best in the world. No chance. Another issue, the same thing, as I mentioned earlier, you're going to be getting fat quicker, because the only storage mechanism of all this excess fat, if it's not used, is going to be stored directly in the fat cells. So that's my big issues with being on the ketogenic diet, especially for bulking. It's an atrocious idea. Now, you know where I stand. Generally, the approach I like to take, and it doesn't really change that much when it comes to gaining weight or losing. Okay, so my battery died. Now, to conclude this video, the approach I like to take whether I'm dieting, trying to lose fat, or trying to gain weight, slowly building muscle, my macronutrient split stays relatively the same. So like I said, my fats stay within the range of 50 to 80 grams. That doesn't change. my protein will stay high at about 2 grams per kilo and above. All the rest of the calories will be driven through carbohydrates. I have the most flexibility there. So I'm trying to gain weight, my carbs will be increased. The remaining calories, whatever's not filled in with the fats and the protein, is going to be filled in with the carbs. So when I'm dieting, I'm pulling back on the carbs. When I'm trying to gain weight, I increase the carbs. Very simple process. But yeah, tell me what you think. Have you tried the keto diet? What was your experience? Do you disagree with me? Maybe you don't agree with everything I said. Drop a comment down below. I'd love to hear from you. Anyways, till next time, Philip from Freak Athletic. Check out our website at freakathletic.com to get your training apparel. And I'll see you guys at the next video.